Good number of clients searching in our area, you'll also get some suggestions for the best way to get their attention.
Do you think there are a lot of people searching for my business?
There's only one way to find out. Go to mylocalcustomers.com. It's quick, easy, and free.
Go to mylocalcustomers.com for a free local customer analysis that will show you how many customers are searching online for your type of business. It's quick, easy, and free. Visit mylocalcustomers.com. That's mylocalcustomers.com.
Sports is what we do.
You're in your car, you're in your house, you're wherever you are. You're a sports fan.
97.3 ESPN.
Because if you weren't a sports fan, you wouldn't be listening.
WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A town square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Hanging out with you on a Monday night, the only episode of Game Night this week. I'll be filling in for Mike Gill in the Sports Bash the rest of the week. Good work by Danny Ryan with Ryan Rothstein on location today at Ocean Casino Resort at the Gallery Bar Book and Games. Well, I got you for the next hour. You and me, Power Hour, 609-403-0973. That is the text board. And your DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. So, a few things to get into this hour. I'll give you the latest on the Eagles' 53-man roster, plus Phillies sweep the weekend over the Cardinals, and some more football news. Is the news day overall has actually been a wild NFL news day. It's been a relatively quiet Eagles news day, but it's been a pretty heavy football news day. So we will get to all that, plus we'll recap the weekend. But first, before we get to the Phillies weekend and all of that, I want to start with the Eagles here because I wrote about this yesterday at 97.3ESPN.com. And I think that for a lot of people, and listen, we all are kind of in the same boat, right? It's one of the last weekends of summer. And so there's a lot of news happening that's kind of, we're kind of like, swing and missing on some of it because this is the last weekends of the entire year that it's summertime. And I know for a lot of people, local summer, they look forward to that even more than actual summer after Labor Day weekend. For people like me, Labor Day weekend is like the delineation for football season. So, for many of us, we're going to be zeroing in on football for the rest of the year. So when the Eagles came out with the news yesterday about they started to make cuts, there was a part of me that kind of had to do a little bit of a double take when I saw the Eagles were already starting to make cuts. And yesterday we saw a very interesting situation where the Eagles, almost all of their cuts were offensive side of the ball related. Now, there were a handful of guys they cut on the defensive side of the ball, but most of them were offensive side of the ball. And the significance of this is, as the guys were talking about earlier on Football at 4 with Jeff Mosher from the Inside the Birds podcast, it's surprising because, and I was having a debate with somebody on Twitter, which I still don't understand that individual's point, but it was surprising that the Eagles pretty much have gone into the initial 53-man roster cutdown day without any legitimate answer about who the backup center is. And this is a big deal because, and I'm not hoping for anything bad to happen, but I gotta tell you guys, if something were to happen to Jason Kelce, if he misses a game or a month, if something happened to Jason Kelce week 1, who's filling in to play that center position? And I know someone like, Ryan was saying earlier in the Sports Bash, in Howie we trust. And I get that. But I feel like usually going into a roster cut down, I have an idea based on information I read and who I hear from and, all the research that goes into doing this job that we do. There's always this part of you that says, hey, man, I would like to, say, okay, here's how the roster is playing out. Here is how it's lining up. I have no idea right now. I feel more unsure about who the Eagles' initial 53-man roster is on the back end than I ever have in the last several years. Because we know who the initial guys who are making the team. We know who the receivers are. We know who the quarterbacks are. We know who the defensive linemen are. We know the starting linebackers are. We know the starting corners are. But it's all the guys who are the second and third teamers that we're really not sure about. And it brings up the question about the Eagles' depth. There is an issue when it comes to depth with this team. And it's not to say that it's not enough to say that I trust Howie Roseman anymore. I trust him to put a competitive winning team on the field. I don't trust him blindly or implicitly. So when I see that you have now cut two of the main backup centers more than 48 hours before the cut down line, I ask questions. And we still have no idea who the starting safeties are. Let's not forget that. And we can talk all we want about how it doesn't matter. It's early on. It's getting early quick. I don't feel very confident in telling you guys who are going to be some of the players in this team this year. And I hate doing that because a lot of you are turning on the radio to 97.3 ESPN. And you're flipping on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. You're going to 97.3 ESPN.com and you're walking away with pretty much the same questions the rest of us are. There is no clear, concise decision yet on safety. There's no clear, concise decision on the depth of this team. And I think that we're seeing an example of the organization trying to do some roster gymnastics and get guys potentially onto the practice squad so they don't lose as many guys. And now there's news reports that they could trade Derek Barnett. They could trade Trey Sermon. Well, that's one way to get the roster down. And I think that's a strong possibility. At least one of those guys gets moved. But it doesn't fix all the positions. And I'm anxiously awaiting this deadline tomorrow at 4 p.m. I'm very much looking forward to seeing at 12 o'clock on Wednesday the waiver wire pickups and who's going to be on the practice squad, because we know the Eagles use the practice squad and we know the Eagles use the waiver wire. And we know Howie Roseman always loves to make a slippery, slick trade at the last minute that nobody saw coming. So it's not that I don't trust the Eagles. I just have a little bit of pent up, like, I can't wait for this thing to come together. I want to finish the puzzle, but I don't have all the pieces to finish the puzzle on the table. People don't put puzzles together, or is that like an old thing? Let me know. 609-403-0973 on the text board. Jeff in Ocean City chimes in and says, Josh, the Eagles roster is solid. I believe we will end the streak of no back-to-back division champion in the NFC. Jerry Jones helped us today. That's from Jeff in Ocean City. Well, I don't know if Jerry Jones necessarily helped you. Jerry Jones says and does a lot of weird stuff that doesn't really help or hurt anyone. It just kind of, excuse me, it's an example of Jerry being Jerry. That's basically what it is. And Jerry should be allowed to be doing the guy's a billionaire. I don't care. Jerry wants to act like that he thought about drafting Jalen Hurts or not. That's on him. He's like Bill Polian. When Bill Polian says that we had Tom Brady on our board with the Colts. No, you didn't. These guys love to let you know that they had a premonition about somebody or something. So I don't know if Jerry really helped the Eagles at all. But I do think that the Cowboys are a team that is a legitimate contender for the NFC East, whether we like it or not. I think that if Dak Prescott can cut down the turnovers and their defense plays up to expectations, then I think the Cowboys are going to probably be a 10-win team this year. I don't want to say that. It's like I'm some hopeful Cowboys fan, or I have a side bet on the Cowboys. I just think that at the end of the day, I think the Cowboys have the talent. And if they ever put it together, they're very dangerous. So I don't think that the Eagles are the clear-cut favorite to win the division. I think they're the clear-cut best team in the conference. But, you can have a couple injuries in October or November. It's sidetrack part of your season. Then guys get healthy in December and January and have a Super Bowl run. Totally see that happening. Now, Jeff and Ocean City, you mentioned the Eagles roster is solid. You're right. It is solid. I don't think it's as elite as it was last year. I think losing Javon Hargrave, and I think that losing C.J. Gardner-Johnson and not having the stability of consistent players like Marcus Epps on the back end, I think those things take a roster that was elite to being good to very good. And I think that considering the past, that your depth was a huge part of what made this organization what it is, I think that's why I react the way I do. Stephen K. May Courthouse chimes in at 609-403-0973. He says, pump the brakes, Josh. You can't say stuff like that. It's sacrilege. Well, I wouldn't say sacrilege. Okay, I understand, Jason Kelsey's not missed a start in his whole entire career. Please stop. So what? Should we never plan for what-if scenarios? We should never have a plan B and a plan C and a plan D in case something happens? Who am I to say what will or won't happen this Eagles season? I don't think it's sacrilege. I think it's just saying that I would like to know what the plan B and plan C is. Stephen K. McCourthouse, you could say Cam Jurgens will play center. But guess what? The Eagles have shown in the past they don't like to move guys around. They like the continuity of keeping certain players at certain positions. So it's not as simple as say, hey, Cam Jurgens can kick the center. And they'll play somebody at guard. I can't agree with you, Steve. K. McCourthouse, I'm sorry. I think that there is a level of healthy questioning of anyone and everything. I mean, isn't that the American thing to do? We ask questions. We, don't just say yes to authority. We challenge the man. It's part of being Americans. And football is the most American thing in the world. So, frankly, I don't mind asking those questions. And if that makes me committing sacrilege, or, I'm not, I need to pump the brakes, as Steve K. McCourthouse said, I'm not. I'm going full steam ahead. And look, for those who don't know the whole story about the Cowboys, I'll touch on this really quick. So the story about the Cowboys acquiring Trey Lance to me is hilarious, because The 49ers were approached, the front office, by Trey Lance last Wednesday and he asked for a trade. He said, look, I don't want to be here anymore. And the 49ers were like, all right, well, we'll try to accommodate you. And Jerry Jones basically saw they had an opportunity to get him. They offered the 49ers the highest pick of anybody, the 4th round pick. And they brought in a guy who's not going to stand over Dak Prescott's shoulder and be a threatening, not a legit threat, but a potential threat to Dak as the starting quarterback. Now, we're going to find out what Dak Prescott is made of on another level. We already know he's a starting NFL quarterback. We know that he is more than just an average competent quarterback in the NFL. But does Dak Prescott elevate his game because Jerry Jones brought in Trey Lance? Does Dak Prescott try to go out there and have the greatest season of his career and then say, I'm going to opt out and hit free agency? Jerry, go take a long walk on a short pier. That's very well what could happen. There's a possibility like Dak Prescott goes out there and has I don't know. I mean, what is Dak Prescott's best statistical season? Because what I'm talking about, this has to be better than what he's ever had. So let's see here. The most touchdowns Dak has thrown in a season has been 37. Okay. So 2 years ago, he had 37 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. Let's say he replicates that number. Let's say he gets to 38 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 5,000 passing yards, 68% completion percentage, and he tells Jerry Jones, I'm going to opt out of my deal. You got to compete for me now on the open market. Well, then that Trey Lance thing blows up in the Cowboys' face next offseason. But I don't know if it necessarily means it's going to impact the team this season. Now it could. I'm not saying it doesn't. I don't know Dak Prescott personally. I don't know how fragile or not fragile his psyche is. I certainly don't think he's Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz got so bent out of shape about Nick Foles winning in the postseason and the Eagles drafting Jalen Hurts. He couldn't handle it. So for all I know, Dak Prescott could be like that. I don't think he is. So I don't know if that's going to be a real disruption for the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are playing with fire. I think that Jerry Jones saw a shiny new car and said, I want it, and screamed and pouted until he got what he wanted. I think Jerry Jones has always been the guy who's looking for the next thing. He's never happy with what he has. I don't even know Jerry. Let me correct that. I don't know if Jerry Jones not happy with what he has. I think Jerry Jones doesn't really know what he wants in life. I think Jerry Jones is a man who is constantly in search of something, and he doesn't know what that something is. I think that's more of what Jerry Jones is. I think Jerry Jones is the guy who he tells you what he wants. It's like, all right, let me use the analogy real quick before I hit the break. If you've ever watched Parks and Recreation, you know who Tom Haverford is. Tom Haverford is a character who is just mentally all over the place. And it literally takes him 4 seasons to come up with a good idea. He spends almost every season coming up with the dumbest, most ridiculous, most off-the-wall, harebrained ideas out there. And then finally in season 4, he comes up with a good idea. And his best friend bails on him because it's not crazy enough. Jerry Jones is Tom Haverford's friend, Jean Raphael. He's just all over the place. He's having a good time, and he might stumble into something good every once in a while, but he can't keep his head above water. Tom Haverford is Dak Prescott. He's finally got something good, but Jerry ain't supporting him in that endeavor. So there's a possibility this goes one of 2 ways. Dak Prescott has the best year of his career and balls out, or the Cowboys completely implode. And I feel like both scenarios are a flip a coin at this point. We'll get to more text messages all on the other side. We got to get into the Phillies weekend. Their sweep over the Cardinals. Are playing the Angels tonight. Shohei Ohtani in town. No Mike Trout. He's on the injured list for the Angels. Plus, the latest on the Eagles did make a move today. They signed a cornerback who won't play this year. We'll get into that. Plus, the latest Jonathan Taylor rumors, all that and more. Josh Hennick hanging out with you on Game Night 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle.
Thursday on Compass Media Network's coverage of NCAA football. We kick off the 2023 season with a cross-country showdown as Cam Rising and the 14th-ranked Utah Utes host Graham Mertz and the Florida Gators. Hi, it's Greg Daniels. Join Chad Brown and me for all the action as the hunt for the college football playoffs starts now. It's number 14 Utah hosting Florida. If it's NCAA football, it's right here.
It's college football on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 7:30.
We all have places to go and things to do, but when you're getting around in Atlantic and Cape May counties this summer, it pays to be street smart. When crossing the street, use crosswalks, pay attention to walk signs, and when driving, the law says it's not enough to yield, we have to stop for pedestrians. Whether you're driving, walking, or biking, have a heads up and put the phone down. Let's all be safe, smart, and aware of our surroundings and others. Street Smart is New Jersey's pedestrian safety education campaign. Learn more at bestreetsmartnj.org.
With Labor Day savings at the Home Depot, we have laundry appliances that just fit. They'll fit your space, fit your needs, and with extra large capacity, Samsung laundry pairs can fit more loads in less time. Plus, with free delivery on orders of $396 and up, you won't have to worry about fitting your new laundry pair in the back of your car. Get up to $700 off select appliances like Samsung only at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Pricing valid 8/24 through 9/13. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Rizumkizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
Staples has big savings on everything you need for back to school or stocking up the office. Save on all your school essentials from notebooks to markers. Save on everything you need for travel, like luggage, portable tech, and travel-size personal items. Plus, save on signs, banners, and posters from Staples print and marketing services. And now at Staples, you can save even more with $10 off document printing when you spend $40 or more. Get everything for the office and the classroom for less at Staples. Ends 9/30. Exclusions and restrictions apply. See associate or visit staples.com/print for details.
Cookie wants to be a professional wrestler.
I'm Cookie Serratos and I'm 11 years old.
She also wants to win all the medals. That's why Cookie and her family make every day count, squeezing out her best with Go-Go Squeeze.
Okay, Cookie, let's break for a Go-Go Squeeze.
Go-Go Squeeze fruit on the go pouches are a nutritious snack made from 100% fruit with no sugar added.
Go, Cookie!
Because when you nurture your kids, you squeeze out the best in them. Squeeze out the best with Go-Go Squeeze. Not a low-calorie food. Products range from 11 to 13 grams of sugar and 60 to 70 calories per serving.
Any trade, any trade, any trade. Bring any trade to Matt Blatt Nissan because AJ the Trade Man is in need of more trades. Used car values have been all over the map, but AJ has one mission: give you the best trade value and get you into a new Matt Blatt Nissan with 0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, and 0% financing on every new Matt Blatt Nissan.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Even if you owe thousands more than it's worth, AJ the Trade Man wants your trade. Plus, with your job clearing $350 per week, you're practically approved with 0 down and 0 interest on every new Nissan in stock. For 36 months, all backed by Matt Blatt's 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Only at MattBlattNissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through DMAT, negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and $589 doc fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to mattblattnissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 9/7/2023. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Hey, this is Josh from 97.3 ESPN. If your air conditioning isn't keeping you cool, or if you're worried about sky-high electric bills, I recommend you call Jenkins Plumbing and Heating today about a new system from American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning or a Mitsubishi ductless system. Take advantage of financing of up to $15,000 from South Jersey Gas or Atlantic City Electric. New AC system can save you 25 to 35% on your AC bill. Call Jenkins at 609-641-6440, online at jenkinsandsons.com.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Josh Henning hanging out with you here at 6.6 on a Monday evening on 97.3 ESPN. Talking about NFL today, Eagles are having to get their roster down to 53 by 4 p.m. tomorrow. So keep tuned here at 97.3 ESPN. But we will have updates for you throughout the week. They have to have the initial 53 ready by tomorrow at 4 p.m. The waiver wire announcements come down at 12 p.m. on Wednesday. And then after that, teams are allowed to set their practice squad. So a lot of moving parts going on over the next couple of days. You keep updated on all of it right here on 97.3 ESPN. Back to the text board at 609-403-0973. Jeff Ocean City says Jeff Prescott and Marcus Mariota. Sorry. I can't agree with that one, Jeff. You know, Dak Prescott, I mean, if I'm going to pull up his numbers right now, you know, if Dak Prescott was playing for a team not called the Dallas Cowboys, I think your opinion might be different. All right. Dak Prescott has 101 more touchdowns and interceptions in his career. That is an awesome ratio. He has 166 touchdowns and 65 interceptions in his career. Dak Prescott has thrown for almost 25,000 yards so far in his NFL career. And Dak Prescott has started less than 100 games, and he's gotten up to 25,000 passes. He's at 97 right. He's also averaging 66.63% completion percentage for his career, which is also pretty good as well. So Dak doesn't stink. And I think the idea of him leading the interceptions, leading the league in interceptions last season is also a bit of a flaw because he had 15 interceptions. I'm pretty sure if I look it up, John Elway did that multiple times. And no one says that John Elway, right? There's not a single person out there in their right mind who's going to say that to use the term John Elway sucks at football. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons. John Elway had at least 15 interceptions. And 5 others, he had 14. John Elway has more interceptions in his career than some guys in the Hall of Fame have touchdown passes. Well, he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Won 2 Super Bowls. The Broncos with 5 AFC championship games. They ever won a championship. The guy had a prolific career. 51,000 passing yards, 300 passing touchdowns. One of the greatest physical talents to ever play the game of football. Don't tell me Dak Prescott. It just sounds like, again, Dak Prescott didn't play for the Cowboys. Dak Prescott had 166 passing touchdowns and 65 interceptions for the Atlanta Falcons. Nobody would say that he's good. Dak Prescott's playoff record. Well, here's the problem. Dak Prescott's playoff record is 2-4. See, I believe the playoff record of a quarterback, the win-loss record in general for a quarterback is one of the most frivolous stats in all of sports. We have dudes who won Super Bowls who don't even belong anywhere near the Hall of Fame. Trent Dilfer, Brad Johnson, Mark Rippon, Doug Williams, Jeff Hostetler. Those guys won championships. Not great quarterbacks. Football is a team sport. So if you're going to argue with me that Dak Prescott can't win just because he's 2-4 in the postseason, I would argue that maybe his team stinks. Maybe his team isn't that good. Maybe at times we have overrated the Cowboys because they're the Dallas Cowboys, America's team, and all that horse manure. It's horse manure. Okay? It's the absolutely dumbest thing in the world that people always act like the Cowboys are great. Maybe, just maybe, when Dak Prescott lost those 4 playoff games, maybe it wasn't his fault. Maybe his team didn't do their job. Maybe his coaches, like Jason Garrett, were pretty much not good at their jobs. At some point, I can't blame a quarterback for everything. At some point, the quarterback can't be blamed for his team not being good. And I get where this other texter, they didn't leave their name at 609-403-0973, but they say, I can't blame Jerry Jones. He said 12 years and one of the 2 career playoff wins with Tony Romo and Dak Prescott. Prescott looks like the same mediocre quarterback path as Romo. But you call it mediocre. But it's not mediocre. Tony Romo was not a mediocre quarterback. Tony Romo had 248 passing touchdowns in his career. Tony Romo had over 34,000 passing yards. That's not mediocre. Unless you're going to tell me that, again, Brad Johnson, Trent Dilfer, Mark Rippon, Jeff Hostetler, and Doug Williams are all better than Dak Prescott and Tony Romo, then I think you and I are just watching different football. But the reason why many of you hate on Romo and Prescott is because they play for the Dallas Cowboys. I've had this argument with Billy Schwein numerous times in the locker room. Joe Namath has more interceptions in his career than touchdowns. Joe Namath finished his career with 173 touchdowns. He led the NFL in interceptions, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. He's in the Hall of Fame. Tony Romo and Dak Prescott have across the board better numbers than Joe Namath. I don't hear anyone saying Joe Namath stinks. I don't hear anyone saying Joe Namath is a bum. So many of you love Ron Jaworski. And for good reason. Ron Jaworski is one of the best football analysts on planet Earth. He is the top of his game. But many of you forget that Ron Jaworski has almost the same number of interceptions as Dak Prescott has thrown touchdown passes. Ron Jaworski had 164 interceptions in his career. Dak Prescott has 166 touchdown passes. Ron Jaworski had at least 16 interceptions in 5 different seasons and 20 interceptions in 3 different seasons, and all of those seasons with Philadelphia. But Eagle fan conveniently forgets that because when it comes to Cowboys, you hate the Cowboys so much. hate him with a passion that is unrivaled on planet Earth for sports fans. I mean, the only sport fan who despises another team as much as Eagle fan despises Cowboys is found in college football for rivalries like Alabama and Auburn, rivalries like Florida and Florida State, rivalries like Duke and North Carolina in college basketball, or like Texas and Oklahoma in college football, or Texas and any of the Texas schools in any sport. That's the only place that this deluded hatred is elsewhere found. If you are judging the quarterback all the time on wins and losses, then that means that all the quarterbacks that I named are better than Dan Marino. Is John Elway good or not? Before he ever won a championship, remember, he was a loser, can't win the big one. All of a sudden, he gets Shannon Sharp, Trent Dilfer, and one of the best offensive lines in the 1990s. Boom, he's got 2 championships. The quarterback is only as good as the talent around him. Donovan McNabb stats got way better when he had Terrell Owens. When Donovan McNabb was throwing to Todd Pinkston, also known as Todd Stinkston, when he was throwing to James Thrash, otherwise known as James Trash, when he was throwing to guys like Reggie Brown, when he was throwing to guys like Nay Brown, when he was throwing to guys like Chad Lewis as his tight end, Donovan McNabb was winning football games. But in the years before T.O., when he had 41 wins, he also had a completion percentage of 57.9%. And he threw 42 interceptions. Donovan McNabb, from 2000 to 2003, threw more interceptions than he had wins on the field. All of a sudden, he gets Terrell Owens. And he has 31 touchdown passes. He has a completion percentage that goes from 57.9% to 64%. That's an insane jump. In fact, the end of McNabb's Eagles career, some of his numbers were better than the first 4 years of his career. You go the last 4 years of Donovan McNabb's career. I go to that specifically because that's when he got guys like Deshaun Jackson. That's when he had a different set of talent that he had around him than he did a decade earlier. The year that they lost to the Arizona Cardinals in the conference championship game, a depressing loss for many, many Eagle fans. He had Deshaun Jackson and Brian Westbrook were his 2 best receivers. Frankly, Deshaun Jackson and Brian Westbrook were better than anyone on those 2000 to 2003 Eagle teams. In fact, I would argue that Jason Avant, who, by the way, was on that 2008 Eagles team, if he played for the Eagles from 2000 to 2003, do you think Donovan McNabb has 41 interceptions? Oh, I'm sorry. By the way, you know how many interceptions Donovan McNabb had the last 4 years of his Eagles career? He had 34. So he had 82 touchdowns and 34 interceptions the final 4 years of his Eagles career. Well, hold on. McNabb won more games from 2000 to 2003, but he had fewer touchdowns by 5, more interceptions by 8. So again, the talent around you matters. And if for 1 minute I'm supposed to believe that Tony Romo and Dak Prescott stink, or their mediocre quarterbacks because of their win-loss record and because of their playoff numbers. I'm not riding with you. I'm not jiving with that. I'm not going to play that game with you guys. You guys have been lied to, deceived, and manipulated for years by screaming talking heads on other radio stations and on other television shows who they lower themselves to the lowest common denominator, and you took it hook, line, and sinker. And I choose to believe that the listeners on 97.3 ESPN are not stupid, you're not imbeciles, and you're not feeble-minded children. So I'm not going to treat you like that. I'm not going to talk to you like you are idiots, like some people do in the media. And I'm not going to sit here and play this silly going around in circles game where, well, Dak Prescott's got a 2-4 record in the playoffs. So what? Who would you rather have? If you have to win one game to get into the postseason, one game against the Super Bowl, Dak Prescott or Trent Dilfer, Tony Romo or Jeff Hostetler, Dak Prescott or Brad Johnson, Tony Romo or Doug Williams, Mark Rippon, whoever you want to throw out there. At the end of the day, a quarterback is only as good as the people around him. And if he's got an imbecile for a coach, if he's got a bad offensive line, if he has receivers you don't catch, if people don't do their job and the football team is never successful. I saw this firsthand at the high school level this weekend at the Battle by the Beach in Ocean City. The games on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There was an extreme stark contrast from when guys were playing as individuals and when guys were playing as a team. Ocean City had a major come-from-behind win over Pleasantville, their rival. Why? Because as the game progressed, guys started playing more and more like a team, and they started rallying around each other and finding ways to compete and win the game. Mainland pulled away this weekend in their game, and so did Hamilton, because they played as a team. The reason why St. Joe's of Pennsylvania was able to come back in that IMG game and make it a game was because in the first half, St. Joe's looked completely discombobulated. But by the end of the game, well, I should say halfway through the third quarter, they finally started playing like a well-oiled machine. So for me, I look at team success is a win-loss record. Individual success are the players' individual stats. And that's how I differentiate the two. All right, more of your text coming up. I see Drew and EHT chimed in at 609-403-0973. I'll get to you, as well as more of your messages coming up on the other side. Oh, man, I love this. You guys got my juices going. Football is back. We're talking football here on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle.
Are you ready for Eagles football?
He's firing, and it is intercepted! Eagles pick it off!
We are too.
And walks in for the touchdown! Beautiful execution. Beautiful.
Listen to the Philadelphia Eagles with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick all season long on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's official Eagles station.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers excludes Corvette, excludes prior sales.
Labor Day deals are here. Yes. Right now at Bennett Chevrolet, we've got all our red hot Labor Day deals going on now. These are special holiday sale offers you won't find anywhere else. No way, no how. While other dealers are still selling at or above MSRP, Bennett's selling new Chevys at GM supplier employee prices. Forget about MSRP prices, because at Bennett, you'll get the same deal employees get. You'll save even more with available 1.9% 1.9% financing. 1.9%. And right now, Bennett will pay you a minimum 10 grand for any trade towards any pre-owned in stock. Yep, you heard right. Bennett's giving a minimum $10,000 for any rusted out old rattle trap you can drive or even tow to Bennett Chevy. Imagine how much more you'll get for a good trade. And Bennett's famous non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend, so there's never any pressure. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Hey, it's Mike Gill. Trio North Wildwood is where casual elegance meets delectable dining. Experience the perfect blend of comfortable atmosphere and gourmet cuisine. Savor our chef-inspired dishes made with the freshest ingredients, featuring options for all tastes. Treat yourself to a night out at Trio North Wildwood and indulge in the ultimate dining experience. Reservations on Resi. Don't miss out on the taste sensation that is Trio North Wildwood. 700 New Jersey Avenue, North Wildwood. Chef-driven, quality-focused, TrioNW.com.
With Labor Day savings at the Home Depot, we have laundry appliances that just fit. They'll fit your space, fit your needs, and with extra large capacity, Samsung laundry pairs can fit more loads in less time. Plus, with free delivery on orders of $396 and up, you won't have to worry about fitting your new laundry pair in the back of your car. Get up to $700 off select appliances like Samsung only at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Pricing valid 8/24 through 9/13, U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Hey, it's Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow exploring exciting destinations throughout New Jersey, sponsored by the New Jersey Division of Travel and Tourism. As summer winds down, we have to make a stop at the world's famous playground, Atlantic City. It's not just about gambling and Monopoly, especially with the opening of the indoor Island Water Park earlier this year. AC is a perfect date night. Enjoy a great meal, do some gaming, catch a show, ride the rides at Steel Pier, or just walk the iconic boardwalk. Find your perfect New Jersey getaway with ideas and a free travel guide at visitnj.org.
Linda, let's run vitals and measurements on Chairman Meow and then...
Springtime is itchy skin time at Violet's Pet Clinic.
Oh no, he seems to be very uncomfortable.
She needs more allergy vets to scratch appointments off her list.
Okay, let me see if I can find someone to get some steroid cream for him.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Go to nomoredraftywindows.com for full offer details.
Attention all homeowners. Do you know when to replace your windows? Feeling too hot or cold? It's time to replace. Fog between the glass. Time to replace. Spending too much on expensive energy that literally goes out the window? It's definitely time to replace. If you've put off replacing windows in your home because it's too expensive, here's great news. You can now get a free in-home window consultation and free price quote from Renewal by Andersen, the company with the most 5-star reviews among leading full-service window replacement companies. And right now you can save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. Just text PLACE to 200-300 for your free consultation on top quality affordable windows or patio doors for $0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for a year. That's right. You don't pay a dime for an entire year. Plus save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. But hurry, these big dollar savings end this month. Text PLACE to 200-300 right now. Text the word PLACE to 200-300. Don't wait. Text PLACE to 200-300.
Go to get your game on at the Gallery Bar Booking Games in Ocean Casino Resort this football season. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery. Go to Ocean. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
The drain guy, the heater guy, or the plumbing guy, just call Jenkins at 609-641-6440 from new heating and air installation, service and maintenance, ductless air conditioning system, water heaters, boilers, drain cleaning services, and more. Just call Jenkins at 609-641-6440 and visit them online at jenkinsandsons.com. All right, back to the text as promised. Drew in the EHP chimed in a little bit of a long text. I appreciate the passion he's bringing to the table. Drew in the EHP says it's such a bad look when Philly sports fans can't set aside their biases and just look at the raw numbers.
make a sound, rational assessment. I am a diehard Eagles fan. Now, he puts that in full cap for emphasis. Because I'm a lifelong fan, and it's as simple as can be starting something saying Micah Parsons is easily one of the most dominant players in football, period. You don't have to cheer for the players on that team. You just sound like you don't know anything about football when you say things like Dak Prescott and or Tony Romo thing. It's that simple. Drew, for me, Drew, you're right. I think you put it very well. And I think there's a lot of rational fans like Drew from EHP out there. I don't think every Eagle fan is irrational. I don't think every fan in general is irrational. I think there's just a lot of passionate people, especially in certain parts of the country. We've had this conversation before about like fans in like Philadelphia, New York, Boston, Chicago. These are passionate, elite level passion. Other major sports cities that have special sports teams cannot match. I'm sorry, but you go somewhere like Atlanta or Houston or Phoenix, Portland, Oregon, right? A lot of these cities don't have the level of passion for their professional sports teams you find in places like the Philadelphia Sports Chamber. So I get the passion. I understand it. Like Drew Nation, he's a diehard Eagles fan, lifelong fan. There's a lot of people like Drew out there. The problem is there are people who just completely irrationally can't call a spade because they're just so deep down the rabbit hole. And I choose to believe that there are more people like Drew and EHP than there are not. So I will continue to talk sports to you guys listening on 97.3 ESPN like you are more like Drew from EHT than you are the anonymous texter who texted in earlier. And maybe that's why he was anonymous. Maybe it's easier to be anonymous and call Tony Romo and Dak Prescott mediocre quarterbacks. Maybe it's easier for you. I mean, am I supposed to believe Eli Manning is just better than everybody because he won 2 championships? I mean, Eli Manning's numbers are, I mean, that's mediocre. To me, Eli Manning, not Peyton Manning, Eli Manning is the definition of an average NFL quarterback who has good talent. But the guy finished his career with 244 interceptions. He led the league in interceptions twice. In fact, Dak Prescott has 1 year with 15 interceptions. 1 year. Eli Manning is 8. But because Eli Manning's got 2 rings, people treat him like he's elite. Like he got the Peyton Manning name. He's Peyton's brother. Listen, Eli Manning was phenomenally talented. I loved watching him at Ole Miss. He was a phenomenal quarterback. He has some of the greatest comebacks I ever saw in the last 20 years in college football. He got 2 Super Bowl championships, beat the Patriots and Bill Belichick twice, 2-time Super Bowl MVP. But the guy was an interception turnover machine. All right, before we get out of here, a couple more football items to get to. First of all, for those who haven't seen, the Eagles did sign a cornerback today. Name is Isaiah Rodgers. Now, he has been disqualified from playing at all this year because he bet on his own team. And one of the bets reportedly was $1,000 bet on an over-under on rushing yards for his teammate, Jonathan Taylor. And Rodgers apparently had multiple bets on his team throughout the season. That's why he got in trouble. That's why he's suspended at least for the 2023 season. This is another example of Howie Roseman being willing to do what other people are not willing to do. The reason why people like Howie Roseman drafted Jalen Carter, signed an Isaiah Rodgers, make these moves that they make is because people like Howie Roseman are unafraid to take a chance. Do I know if Isaiah Rodgers is ever going to pay off? No idea. But he was a good, solid cornerback for the Colts last year. And I think if anyone can figure out how to make players reach their potential, it's the Eagles organization as currently constructed. So the Eagles are basically buying low on a player that could pay off much more. I think it's a good move. I think it's a very good move. I have no idea if Isaiah Rodgers can be any good. I'll be honest with you. But I like the idea by the Eagles. Get a guy that's going to cost you nothing. And then if he does work out, you look like winners. If it doesn't work out, no harm, no foul. I'm Josh Hennig. Have a great night, everybody.
Radio continues to reach more consumers than all other forms of traditional media. Do you own or run a business in South Jersey? Then you need the expertise of Town Square Media. The combination of radio and digital drives results. All of our Town Square Media clients get their unfair share of customers. We have the expertise in creating solutions for businesses in South Jersey. Let us help build your brand, increase sales, and give your business the boost it needs this summer. Call Jim McClain today at 609-645-9797.
Your palace awaits. Caesar's Palace.